Right, so Tomatogate. You must have heard of this one by now. The supermarket fresh produce shelves are bare, and Therese Coffey is telling us to eat turnips instead, earning her the nickname Baldrick after the scruffy rodent of a character from the fantastic Blackadder comedy series, who had a certain obsession with the vegetable. I must confess, I don't really like tomatoes, and swede turnips belong in a pasty. There's me admitting to my conflict of interest regarding this fresh produce-based issue. However, there's no way in chuffing hell I'm coming down on the same side as Baldrick Coffey in this argument, because it's just her latest contemptuous, arrogant, lazy attitude towards her ministerial post at Defra currently. No matter where in government she's worked, it's clear Coffey has been all about the wage packet, the ministerial car, the perks, and not the actual work. She has implied the weather has something to do with the shortages of tomatoes. Terrible weather in Spain, apparently. And of course, the mainstream media, the BBC mainly again, are trying to convince us all that she is, of course, right. And this is just deeply unfortunate. And we're just going to have to show a bit of good old-fashioned British grit to get us through our red fruit-deprived crisis and nosh on a homegrown swede or turnip or two in what she calls cherishing our specialisms. Sadly for mainstream media and dishonest bone-idle politicians like Baldrick, social media exists. And it exists in other countries. And oh, look, they have tomatoes in Spain. Oh, look over there. They've got too many tomatoes in the Netherlands. Apparently, it's easier to get tomatoes in war-torn Ukraine right now than it is here. She's just talking bollocks. In fact, if she was up on her knowledge of all things agricultural, it is her department after all, but she's never bothered to learn her brief in any other department she's run before, so why start now? We've crops rotting in our fields and have had for some time because they aren't getting picked. And as much as a Brexiteer like Baldrick might want to avoid the subject, the elephant in the room here is still Brexit. Across Europe, there is free movement of goods, except to here. There have been crop issues abroad. Yes, this is true, there have. But if you want to sell what you've got as quickly as possible, and the demand is high enough from countries not requiring red tape to sell your produce, why would you bother with the one country that does require red tape to sell it? We are bottom of the pile. When there are product shortages on the continent, we're always going to be last in line, and if they sold up before getting to us, then hard shit on us. We're always going to be the ones who end up having to ration what we've got, which is what we're seeing supermarkets doing now with fresh fruit and veg. The same goes for our homegrown crops, for whom we've always relied on migrant labour to pick, much of which we've now lost, and that's to do with Brexit complications as well. Tomatoes going to other countries and turnips rotting in our fields. Oh, what a problem you have, Therese Coffey. Not that you really give a staff perpetually bored and aggrieved at being held to account for such things as you are. Of course, this all has the knock-on effect of prices rising again, when with inflation beginning to fall, we should be, by rights, seeing food prices begin to drop. But that isn't happening here either. Your answer to that, Baldrick? Oh, people will just have to work more. It's a flaming insult. The only person that needs to work more is you lazy sodding minister. Eating British is something all of us should do, of course. Eating seasonally brings year-round choice as well. But we live in an age where we expect to be able to access all manner of fruit and veg at all times a year, and this wasn't a problem before we left the EU. It's an ongoing problem because of the failure to negotiate the necessary compromises needed since then, by a government held to ransom by rich, ignorant gammons on their backbenches, bleating about sovereignty as a price we should all be proud to pay for going without. Nobody voted for the messes the Tory mishandling of Brexit has brought, and nobody deserves the lazy, dishonest minister making a farce of herself trying to cover up for that. Therese Coffey is apparently best mates with former Prime Minister Liz Truss, who was outlasted by a lettuce. If only Baldrick's time in charge was measured in the lifetime of fresh produce as well. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit like and subscribe, leave a comment and hit the notification bell too so you don't miss the next one. Also look out for me on social media and other interesting stuff by clicking the Linktree link in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, folks.